A former Malaysian Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has been charged with abuse of power and money laundering. He was read 6 charges earlier today at the Sessions Court in Kuala Lumpur, with another to be filed on Monday at the court in Shah Alam. Mr. Muhyiddin has pleaded not guilty. He's facing up to 15 years behind bars for each count of money laundering and up to 20 years for each count of abuse of power. The former leader was released after posting bail of about $440,000, but was asked to surrender his passport. He reiterated his belief, though, that the charges are politically motivated.
I have always been fighting against corruption, abuse of power. And that has been the principle that I stood for from the very beginning. And that is what my party stands for all the time. So what has been happening now, as I mentioned, this is part of political and selective persecution. Yeah? It's not that it is corruption. Of course, you have to go to court and let the court decide what's the real situation. And I am innocent until proven guilty by the court.
And CNA's Melissa Goh has more on the charges Mr. Muhyiddin faces.
Former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has been charged with 4 counts of abuse of power and 2 counts of money laundering in the Kuala Lumpur courts. Now, the amount involved is said to be over $90 million. And there's another count of money laundering, which he will be charged with in Shah Alam court on Monday. So all in, there will be 7 criminal charges against the former Prime Minister. Now, if convicted, Mr. Muhyiddin can face up to 20 years imprisonment for each count of abuse of power and 15 years for money laundering under AMLA, as well as a fine of 5 times the amount. Now, speaking to his coalition members and supporters last night, Mr. Muhyiddin said his party has already started crowdfunding to help him pay the bail. Now, his party Bersatu, he lamented, is now poor because all the bank accounts have been frozen by MACC since January. Now, he maintained that he's innocent, that he had never pocketed any money from the stimulus programs or abused his position when he was Prime Minister for 17 months. All decisions, he added, were made by Finance Ministry, and he never forced or influenced them in awarding contracts or in allowing tax exemptions for his friends or associates. Now, under the law, abusing your position to enrich family members or friends or associates is still wrong. Now, analysts say Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, who has just marked his first 100 days in office, is seen as walking the talk, fighting corruption in a dramatic way by hauling up the big fish. Now, several of Party Bersatu leaders have already been charged before this for corruption. Mr. Muhyiddin claimed that it's political witch hunting and they are all victims of selective prosecution. To weaken his position, his opposition coalition's chances ahead of the crucial 6 state elections are widely expected middle of the year. Now, Mr. Anwar is pushing ahead with his pledge to rid corruption, uphold good governance in order to win support and confidence for his unity government at barely 3 months old. But the elephant in the room here is the former finance minister who oversaw the approvals and the project is the current trade minister who's currently sitting in his cabinet. Now, Minister Zafar Aziz, meanwhile, has denied all allegations.